To get started here. CARP is, oh, we already have it. That's like record time on the changeover. Do we have everybody? All right, some folks are coming in with the coffee. Scott's queue up worked for sure. Thanks, Scott. All right, want to be sensitive to your time. Greetings. Thank you so much for making the time to stay over with us. I'm Erica Knox, an elder serving in the area of mission. Our time together today stems from a larger plan to continue to optimize our communication. There's really three purposes of our time today. One, we want to make sure that everybody has visibility to who is on session and the areas that we're tied to, so that if you have questions or feedback or ideas, you know who to come to, whether it's today or another day. Second, in hearing from some of you, your preference is for in-person communication. So we're offering these times together quarterly to create a forum for that. And third, really improving bi-directional communication. We'll share a little bit about what we're working on, but really more importantly, is the ability to hear from you. We'll have some open mic time in the end, so save your ideas or questions. Our intent is to really assure that all voices are being heard as we move forward. The larger communication plan I referenced includes two other areas of work. One, if you were here a couple weeks ago, Susan announced our first edition of the Crossroads Express. This really coming from feedback from many of you to provide a consolidated view of all the good work happening within the church and an easy reference all in one glance at the big dates coming up in the quarter ahead. And the other thing that we are working on is kicking off a revisit to our website. This work was going to start before Compass, and we're getting to it now. The time is right. We want to move things forward for ease with use to hopefully provide us more of an avenue to simplify and streamline communication for all of you and folks looking to learn about our church. Continuing in the theme of communication, session met a couple weeks ago for our annual planning meeting, and a big area of focus for us was on difficult conversations. We're learning in part, this practice in part, from our themes that stem from Compass on inclusion, unity, connection, and discipleship. So more to come as we have a chance to debrief from our time together on that. So what will our time look like today? Three things. One, you're going to hear quick updates from the areas of ministry here. Second, there's going to be a little bit deeper dive into finance with Chris. And then we're going to open the floor for questions, comments, and feedback. So since I'm already standing here, I'm going to kick us off with mission. I have the privilege of serving alongside with Joanne Steininger, who is in Cancun with the team serving at Ministerio de Vida this week. And I've got a couple fun facts for you on great things that we have done as a congregation serving groups that we don't really talk about a lot. The first, did you know that we delivered over 5 bags of unused medication and 4 shopping bags of medical equipment plus larger items to Bread of Healing? You'll find collection areas in the back if you're ever interested and have things to donate there. We sent over $2,300 to See Literacy. That was all through donations from those of you participating in the yoga ministry. The chili guys in Q3 cooked and delivered 84 gallons of chili to St. Ben's. That is a lot of chili. And Crossroads members donated food to support 30 families last year with family sharing of their over 9,000 clients. So way to go, Crossroads and friends. Oh, thank you for that. Way to go. There is literally something for everybody in terms of what your skills and interests are, what your time availability may be. So if you're curious, check out the bulletin board in the back, the Let's Go Serve calendar. You'll also see it available in the weekly news. If you want to serve by yourself, with friends, don't have to be a member of Crossroads, or with family. We've got something for everyone. And my last plug, we are still looking for a leader of our team for the mission work. It's a well-oiled machine with lots of help from the team pitching in. So if this sparks curiosity for you on what it would be about, feel free to reach out to Joanne or I. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Julie.
Hello, I'm Julie Westerhausen, third-year elder assigned to the worship ministry team. First, I'd like to report that our session hosted an elder appreciation brunch on Sunday, January 28th, and as a result of that brunch, 84 Crossroads members who have served on past sessions have joined the College of Elders. The College of Elders can be thought of as our elder alumni who have vowed to continue in their service to Crossroads as needs arise. They will be easily identified as they will have unique name badges that will be jade green with gold lettering. And now for worship ministry team. Our sound techs have been busy making tweaks to our sound system to improve output, especially for those who wear hearing devices. Adjustments will continue weekly throughout Lent with hope of achieving a much improved sound quality by Easter. And our self-guided Lenten prayer stations in the quiet room just off the coffee gathering area have been prepared for your use. And I encourage you to take advantage of this opportunity to enhance your personal faith journey.
Good morning, I'm Kevin McGowan. I'm second-year elder and I serve on youth ministry. Our high schoolers are turning into amazing chefs through At the Table. They recently made delicious homemade biscuits and chicken dumpling soup. They can dice, slice, and mince with skill, but most importantly, they're having a blast enjoying what they've created together. On Sunday mornings, our middle schoolers are working their way through the New Testament this year during Sunday school. Our students are engaged and curious. They ask deep questions and share big thoughts. Sunday nights have been a great time for us to gather as a larger youth community with our middle school and high school youth groups overlapping for a bit of time to worship together. How great it is to see our students praising God and using their gifts and talents to His glory. None of this could happen without our amazing volunteers, including young adults, parents, and adults whose grown children were once part of these youth groups. We are so grateful for all the ways that they say yes to spending time with our children. Please pray that our students would continue to encounter God's love and grace.
Well, good morning. I'm Josh Thompson. I serve with Children and Family Ministry, and I serve along with Robin Johnson, who's teaching preschool Sunday school this morning, which I would normally be doing 4th and 5th grade, but they found a sub for me, so you have to deal with me. Children and Family Ministry has a lot to celebrate and a lot to be excited about. We are always, I think like pretty much everybody here, busy. But I will highlight a few things. We have been doing a parent pep talk on the first Sunday of every month, and that wouldn't just be for parents if you happen to be a grandparent with, younger grandchildren or something like that, or just have some young people in your life. I think these classes would be a good thing for you to hop in on. Our first one was end-of-life planning, something that a lot of us young parents don't really like to think about, but something we should be prepared for. Coming up in March, we have a class on worshiping with your kids in the pews. If you happen to be like me and you have a 3rd grader that sits next to you and gets a bit squirrely, this class might be a great place to come and get some tips and ideas and maybe discuss some ideas you might have. And then in the first Sunday of April, we will be talking about the birds and the bees and how that ties in with faith. We're doing hopefully those attending the class will have time to have read a book written by Kate Ott, who is a pastor and speaker and now a professor. And her area of specialty is talking to children about their bodies and that kind of stuff. And I got to tell you, I read the book. It has been useful in my family already. So if that's something that appeals, grab a copy of the book, and we would love to see you there. Also, VBS is coming. Vacation Bible School starts June 10th and it goes through the 14th, and it is awesome. I have to tell you, if you have never been a part of our VBS at this church, it is one of the things we do best. We do a lot of good things, but VBS is pretty awesome. And if you have never volunteered, I strongly encourage you to consider it. I think most of our volunteers would tell you it is a very cup-filling experience. It's a big commitment. It's mornings for a week, but it's not impossible. And if you don't leave here energized and thinking, wow, we're doing really good stuff, I will be really surprised. So please, if you are interested or you've done it before and you want to make sure you're plugged in again this year, talk to me or Krista or anybody on the Children Family team. We'll make sure you get plugged in. So thank you guys very much, and we're heading it off to Tom with Adult Ed.
Good morning, I'm Tom Taylor. I'm a third-year elder serving for adult education. I serve with Jack Dobson as well. Adult education is responsible for two ministries, small group ministries and adult ed programming. Regarding small groups, did you know that we have over 200 members and over 20 groups here? That's almost a quarter of the church, which I think is really great. That's something to celebrate for sure. And I wanted to dispel a rumor that you can only sign up in September during Taste of Crossroads. No, you can sign up at any time. Just call Nancy Ponstein Disabeto or myself or one of the adult ed folks, and we'll be happy to sign you up. Regarding the adult ed classes, Scott already stole some of my thunder by mentioning two classes that we have upcoming, the one on Simon Peter on Wednesday nights. That'll be a 5-week class. And then the one on Sundays, which will be Discerning the Will of God, that'll be a 4-week class. But I also wanted to highlight on Sunday, April 7th, we are excited to bring in the former governor, Martin Schreiber, who's the author of the book, My Two Elaines, which chronicled his wife's experience with Alzheimer's and how he dealt with that. And he's going to give a talk called Discovering Aging. It's a family affair. That's April 7th at 3 p.m. It will be open to the community, and it will be followed by a panel discussion. And so we'll have some experts there talking about aging as well. That will be followed on the subsequent 3 Wednesdays by more panel discussions. So that's what I'd like to inform you about for Adult Ed. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Jeff Clark. I am a first-year elder serving on the HR ministry team along with Trudy Lampin. We are here to update you on a few things going on with staff. Again, most of what we do on the backside is just make sure that we're lifting up our staff and giving them all the support and resources that they need, and we continue to do that. But there are a few highlights to hit on. One of which is this month we celebrate Pastor Scott's 14th anniversary of ordination. That is February 28th, and if you could just say a quick congratulations and lift him up as well. Prayers for Carol Bird and her family in the loss of her father, as she'll be traveling to the United Kingdom to help put him to rest, and we know that's a lot to handle, so please lift her up in your prayers. Also, we lift up Pastor Anna as she discerns her next call. We have been blessed to have her as part of our staff, and we are full of joy for her as she looks on her next steps and journey. Lastly, Pastor Susan, of course, we talked about that earlier, for safe travels. We lift her up. Hopefully she's having some fun and also some time, or a fun time and a little bit of rest as well. And other than that, we're always looking at how we can provide the resources for a wonderful staff.
Good morning. I am Erin Gabowski. This is my second year as an elder serving for Church Life Ministry Team alongside Elder Barb Jansen, And our update, we had a square dance a couple weekends ago, and it was wildly successful. We had around 100 people packed into the CLC. There was dancing, laughing, meeting new people, and so we plan to do that again next year. So think about that, friends, that weren't able to make it this year. Additionally, we are getting new materials for the Grief Share program. For those of you who aren't familiar, Grief Share is a Christ-centered, video-based support group program. It equips lay volunteers to encourage and comfort people going through bereavement. The materials point to Christ as the ultimate source of healing. It has great resources for anyone willing to facilitate. And on that note, our team is looking for one or more people to help facilitate this program, which lasts 13 weeks long, and we hope to be able to offer it again this fall. So if you're interested, or if there's somebody who God is bringing to your mind at this time who might be a great facilitator for us, please let either me or Barb or Lori Ewell, our team leader, know. We are excited to welcome our next new members on March 10th. The classes have been kicked off already. As Church Life, we have already paired up most of our new members with hosts. Hosts are current members who come alongside new members to get to know them better and introduce them to other people within the church and other activities within the life of the church. If that's something you feel like you would be inspired to do, feel free to reach out. We'd like to have a nice big pool for each new member class as they come forward. We also have a couple of new ideas that we are hoping to do to promote connections within our congregation. If you're interested in learning more about things that we're thinking about, reach out to me, Barb, or Lori, because if you're good at planning and organizing and just getting people together for a good time, we can certainly help you make that happen. Finally, spring was in the air this past week. I don't know about this morning, but this past week it was in the air, which got me thinking about opportunities to get outside and do some fun things. Church Life also kind of oversees recreation opportunities, so just know that up and coming are men's golf, women's golf, and we also have a softball team, so reach out if you're interested in any of those things as well. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Chris McKinney. I'm the session representative from the finance ministry team. Tyler Steck also is a session member on the FMT. I will be providing you with an update on the church's finances as of the end of January. As a reminder, our fiscal year for budgeting runs from July 1st until the end of June. So we're a little more than halfway through this fiscal year. The first chart shows our expected giving for this year compared to last year and our trend going forward. Giving is on track to increase 3% this year to about a little less than $1.5 million. 95% of our giving is from the generous offerings of all of you, our Crossroads members. Recall the report from last Sunday from our stewardship committee, for example. The rest of our income is from fees for programs, use of the church, and other things like that. For next year, beginning July 1st, we are projecting $1.5 million. The second chart, which adds to the first chart, adds spending to the chart. It's on track to hit $1.536 million this year, which is a 1% increase over the prior year. 80% of our spending consists of the HR and staff, as well as maintaining our building and the grounds. A lot of focus has gone into spending control, which has been a challenge due to inflation. We are currently projecting a $60,000 deficit for this year, and this would be the third year in a row with a deficit, although it is down from the last 2 years. At current trends, we project a deficit next fiscal year, July 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2025, of a $50,000 deficit. Next year's budget process is currently underway, and our challenge is to identify ways to reduce the deficit further. The third chart then adds another line related to capital needs. It includes an estimate of the average amount of capital spending over the next 12 years over and above normal operating spending. Examples would be for roofing and parking lot maintenance, repair and maintenance of our air conditioning and heating equipment. You recall we just replaced a boiler in December. Sanctuary and office technology. You can look at the screens and the projectors and the audio and the video, those kinds of things. And items such as carpeting, blinds, and lighting. This spending is expected to total $2.4 million over the next 12 years. About half of that amount can likely be covered at current giving levels. That leaves a $1.2 million gap, or about $100,000 annually over each of the next 12 years. And you'll see the far right column on the chart, and the bottom number shows a projected deficit each year of $150,000. The finance ministry team has formed a capital needs project team to identify options for session to consider for dealing with this fiscal challenge. And that's about a 10% deficit compared to our total budget of about $1.5 million, to put it in some perspective. One thing we are certain of is that we must maintain our beautiful and functional facilities now and for the future. We believe it is important for you to be aware of our situation, which is why we've been bringing information to you about finances more frequently, and you can expect to hear more in the coming months. Thank you.
All right. Now's where the interactive portion of our time together begins. So we have a mic somewhere. Jenny has it. Thanks, Jenny. So anything on your mind, if you've got questions for anybody on the team, comments, feedback, curiosities, feel free to raise your hand and Jenny will skip to you. It's an incentive to raise your hand, I guess. Skip, Jenny, skip.
Hey, I'm Margaret. I wasn't listening real closely about the sound system, but last week Rick and I were listening to the church service online, and I did notice that we couldn't hear the handbell choir very well. And I didn't know if that was something, if it was for people at home that were listening, if it's to try to fix maybe that issue, or if it's for also people in the congregation. Thanks.
You got it?
Well, thank you for bringing that to our attention here as a sound tech guy. I can't remember if the service had the handbells which were blended in with the choir. That is harder for us to blend from a sound perspective here. When the bells play by themselves, they're very easy to hear and pick up, I think. But when they're together with some other ones, it's more difficult here. But we appreciate that feedback, and we'll try to do a better job mixing it. Thank you.
Good morning. This is for Chris. I'm Jeff. Your numbers that you presented excluded any contributions from the foundation. Just wondering whether there's an opportunity for the foundation to play a role in any of those, future deficits.
Yes, that is part of, for example, on the capital needs, the $1.2 million does assume some contribution from foundation, although that varies from year to year, as well as the Joseph Fund and how that gets spent.
Hi, good morning. Tony, I have a couple questions. I didn't know if I was going to be here, so I already asked Julie to be prepared with these. But I think it's important that we get to know our elders, not just what we do, but also who they are. So I have 3 questions for them. And if you could just go through these. If you're all considered ruling elders, whereas the pastors are teaching elders, can you describe the difference in the different roles of each? Second question, can you please share an example of how you are using your gifts given to you by the Holy Spirit to lead as a ruling elder at Crossroads? And the third one, how are you working as an individual on our statement to know Christ and bring others to Him? Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. And we have a first year, a second year, and a third year going to answer your question. So part one of the question was, we are considered the ruling elders, whereas the pastors are the teaching elders. Describe the difference and the different roles of each. And I'm happy to answer that portion for us. A teaching elder is a member of the presbytery and is a minister of the word and commissioned to preach the gospel and administer the sacraments, while a ruling elder is a member of the local church. Elders are elected by the people and for the people. We have the government and the spiritual oversight of the church. Ruling in our title of ruling elders is about measuring, not flexing power. It is our role to measure the spiritual health of our congregation entrusted to our care, and to make decisions that equip and strengthen our congregation's discipleship. We follow the example of Christ and lead by service. And the second part of Tony's question was, could you share an example of how you are using the gifts given to you by the Holy Spirit to lead as a ruling elder at Crossroads?
Tony, thank you for the question. Jeff Clark, first year elder, so we're getting our first year guy in. And the gifts, it's interesting that you saw the budget update. You saw some of the challenges that we are facing with a deficit budget. My background is a business owner and business leader for a lot more years than I like to admit to. And I've run businesses that are asset heavy, so they are dependent on very large assets, and knowing how to leverage those, take limited or defined resources like budgets, and being able to take that and leverage what you have and create opportunities for growth is where some of my skill sets lead me to come into session, or gave me the opportunity, I thought, where I might play a part on session, as well as with some of the work that we're doing on Compass, again, having strategic thoughts and how we can do that. That's my skill set and how I ended up putting myself out into session.
So there were two questions that were more individually focused. The one about gifts, and then also, how are you working individually to know Christ and bring others to him? And I feel like those two questions just are so very much intertwined, because as elected leaders to the congregation, we should be moving along on our faith journey. And so they are just very much interconnected. And just like all of you, I am on my own spiritual journey, doing the best I can with the gifts given to me by God. And just like you all, I'm a sinner too, and so I'm not going to get it right every time. So I'm going to offer you as much grace as I possibly can in any opportunities to interact with you all. And I really hope and pray that you will be able to extend that same grace to me. That statement right there might lead you to believe that I'm a peacemaker, and I really feel like that is a big piece of who God created me to be, and what the biggest gift that I am bringing to our session. I am not going to help with finance. I'm so grateful that we are a body of many parts, and that is not my part. So the other thing is, another gift that I have is a bit of discernment, and you can see how humble and how full of humility I am with this, because I'm having a hard time even admitting it. But my heart and my mind, my spirit are open to the ways God is moving. And so as often as I can see those opportunities where God is moving within our body, I want to point that out and make sure you all are seeing it and our team is seeing it as we move forward together in the direction God is calling us. Thank you.
So I'm Tom Taylor again, longtime finance guy. You might remember I was treasurer and headed up the finance ministry team for a number of years. So I assumed that when they asked me to be on session here, they'd say, Tom, help out with finance. No, they put me on adult education. Go figure. But I do have a passion for adult education. I do enjoy going to the classes, and that's always been a lot of fun. And I do enjoy actually facilitating some of the classes as well. The other part, though, is I kind of felt that Crossroads was at a crossroads. And so when the Compass situation came up, I just felt a calling to be kind of the session liaison between Compass and Session there. And we're doing some important work, trying to figure out who we are. I think we've done that. Trying to solve some problems that'll help us to be a better church for our community here. And so I just felt that was part of my calling here. So that's pretty much it.
Thanks, Tony, for the good questions. I want to be sensitive to everybody's time. Is there a final question out there that anyone wants to bring forward? Yeah, you bet. Skip, Jenny, skip, right up here. Or your own creative version of however you want to move.
Thank you, Jenny. My name is Peter. A while back, there was
Debrief from that session to determine what does that mean? You know, how do we bring that out? How do we include all of you? What does that look like in terms of tackling specific hard conversations that are being brought to the church and our congregation more? So stay tuned, it's coming. Thank you. Maybe anyone else? Okay. Well, I thank everyone for your time in coming and staying. It's great to see your faces, and it was even more fun to have your engagement this time around as well. If there's a question or a thought on your mind that this wasn't the right forum for you today, I hope you've got a better idea of who we are. Don't hesitate to reach out. Thanks again, and have a great sunny Sunday.